Ghana's latest inflation figures for second quarter of the year, which shows an upward trend of prices of food. This afternoon, there's a looming food crisis as the impact of a prolonged drought in some parts of the country, which may result in stifled supply of water for some food crops in the southern sector. According to data from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, a 2021 farming season experienced some 10 weeks of drought between March and May, the situation which meant that some crops would experience just one of the two rainy seasons, left about 79,002 hectares of total maize farmland uncultivated out of 246,075 hectares. The Peasant Farmers Association is worried that this would affect the supply of farm produce to the market. We'll hear from them shortly, but already the situation has led to an increase in inflation figures for the second quarter of the year. Here's Government Statistician Professor Kobnenim with details.
This is the first time in many years that a country has recorded a single-digit inflation for 3 consecutive times, despite the marginal increase in prices of goods and services as compared to previous years. From April till June 2021, the nation recorded single-digit inflation rates. However, the slight increase in inflation in June was due to the increase in price of fuel, which pushed transport and food inflation rates up. The government statistician, Professor Samuel Eneng, explains what this means to the cost of living.
This literally means that between June 2020 and June 2021, on a year-on-year basis, prices of goods and services have gone up by 7.8%. On a month-on-month basis, that is with a CPI of 129.2 for June 2021 and a CPI for May 2021 of 127.6. Between May 2021 and June 2021, prices of goods and services have gone up by 1.3%.
Now let's bring in Charles Nyaba, who is with the Peasant Farmers Association, for a better appreciation of the situation. Charles, I'm grateful for your time. Tell us how exactly this has affected the season.
Thank you so much. Let me say good afternoon to yourself and your listeners. If you take Ghana, we can break it into the various agroecological zones. So when you take the southern and the transitional zone, which comprises of the Bono region, Bono East, the Asante region, coming to Eastern region. That is where we usually experience two cropping seasons, the major season and the minor season. They have experienced serious drought when it was about to start the major season. The time we were expecting the rains in those areas, it never came. We are just about entering the minor season, and that's where the rains are now starting to come. So it means that the major season yields are likely to be affected because the rains did not come on time. Now, when you come to the northern part of the country, that's the Savannah zone, we have just started our cropping season, and I think it delayed a bit. We were expecting the rains around May, so that we start planting, but it's late. But the moment we entered June 15, we started experiencing the rain. So from that time till now, planting is still ongoing. So to me, I would say that if you come to the northern part of the country, so far, it's not that bad as we thought it was going to be. And it will be difficult for me to draw conclusions that this is going to affect our total output by the close of the year. Since we have started and the rains are following, so if we follow like that, to me, I think it will not still be bad for us, except that in the southern part, that the early crops that we usually do in the major season experience some setback. So that is likely to also reduce the supply in those areas.
Now, I know, how dire is this situation, Charles?
Yeah, for the northern sector, I don't think it's that bad because since when the rain started, it has been coming regularly, and then most farmers are still planting. I've just done planting my maize, sorghum, and then rice last week. So for the northern sector, for now, I don't think it's too early for anybody to paint any negative figure. But when you go to the transitional zone and the southern zone, that's where we have serious problems, especially crops like maize. Many farmers, more than 50%, couldn't actually plant. Those who plant, their crops well fed. So that is how bad it is in those areas. But you realize that in recent years, we have greater chunk of our cereals coming from northern part of the country. If you take maize, for instance, we have greater quantities of maize coming from the southern east and west, from the northern region, and then from Bolu area. And then so far, in terms of the rains, I don't think it has affected us that much. So that's what I can say.
Charles, hold on a second for me, because Greek Minister Usufri Akoto says Ghana will begin local production of fertilizers soon. He says the president is in talks with leaders in Morocco to procure plants for the country to begin local production of fertilizers. His assurance comes as some suppliers of fertilizers bemoan the delay in payment of subsidies and taxes imposed on them.
We are not paid on time, although we need the money to further our business. We plead with the minister to ensure that we receive the subsidies on time.
Subsidy payment, this year, subsidy, especially fertilizer. A boy, yeah, turn on market now. Yet they might say it means a supply, no matter as in terms of.
Also, we find it hard to supply our fertilizers because prices on the world market are very high, making it difficult to sell through distribution channels.
Fertilizers distribution channel, the free distributor, so they call retailer, the second, the nurse, the inspector, it is all the feed, you know.
Due to this, we do not make enough profit, and this makes the job less appealing this year.
Now, the more can fertilizer price, Mr. Bonzo, any road fair journey Felicia, Manunum, and the more kind of there. Because I mean, you know, Bakubakwanoa, a better time at the action.
Just as Mr. Bonsu said, we do not produce fertilizers here. The president is now in talks with the leaders of Morocco to install a plant in the country in order to do just that. Until that happens, we have to import the fertilizers.
And the prices of the fertilizers we import have gone up. Even the shipping cost has gone up too, making the fertilizers expensive. But due to that, we cannot give them out for free.
Charles Naba is still on with us. Charles, we know currently there's shortage of fertilizer in parts of the country. Now, how are your members coping?
Thank you. You know, crop productivity is subject to a number of factors. The rain, as we discussed earlier on, is one. The good seed is one. And nowadays, fertilizer is one of the key factors that determine the output of crop productivity. This year, I'm currently in Upper East, and I've toured almost all the districts where our members are, and the situation is that bad. The ministry gave me some trucks to supply to the farmers. The moment the trucks came, the farmers queued from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. to get the fertilizer to buy. And it couldn't even serve 10% of those farmers who were around. And this is the period for us to apply the fertilizer. Fertilizer is time-bound. If the crop needs the fertilizer, you don't apply it and then you put it later. I mean, the usefulness will be useless. And we realize that there is a serious shortage. Farmers are willing to even pay higher price for the fertilizer. There's no fertilizer available in the market. Even the open market fertilizer is not available. our checks suggest that most of the fertilizer importers that government gave them a contract to supply couldn't bring it because government owned them for what they supplied last year. So we have about only three companies who were able to bring fertilizer into the country. And to them too, the price that government is asking them to sell to farmers, according to them, when they sell that, they'll run at a loss. So they are not able to give margins for retailers to bring it to the farmers. So even though there are some small stocks in Accra, Tema, but when you come to the field, most of the retail stores are still empty. So because of that, we held a meeting. We agreed for government to adjust the prices more. So contrary to the earlier PFJ price of 48 Ghana cedis for the NPK, it has been adjusted 2 days ago to 53 Ghana cedis. And even with that, the companies are still finding the difficulty in giving margins for retailers to take it to the district where it is needed. So we hope that with that adjustment, the retailers will quickly clear the fertilizer that is there so that the farmers will be able to access. So this is the factor that I would have actually wanted us to discuss in terms of system for 2021-2020, because most of our lands are now infertile. So without applying fertilizer, it's going to affect crop yield drastically. So if this issue is not addressed by the end of this week to next week, the situation will not actually be too good for us in 2022.
Charles Naba.
Let me just land here. We had a conversation with the coordinator of PFJ, who tasked the fertilizer companies to actually clear all the stock that they have, make sure that all smallholder farmers, especially women, have access to the fertilizer. So if that is done, we are hopeful that by the end of the year, we will still be able to meet our target.
Thank you so much, Charles Nyaba. He's head of programs and advocacy at the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. It was great having you.